Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Skin Wellness Pro Show, the official podcast of the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance. I'm Rachel Pontillo.
Hi, I'm Tara Swagger. Thank you for being here.
Today we have a great topic for you because we have a masterclass coming up soon on March 7th that we're really excited about. It is about the topic of environmental toxins and how they affect the skin, and it is really going to be designed for practitioners both on the aesthetic side as well as the coaching side, so that they can get an idea of how to help their clients figure out what might be going on in their environment that's affecting their skin. And Tara is going to be taking the lead on that class, and I'm so excited for us to share this information with everyone. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about why we felt it was so important to offer this masterclass. And this is something that Tara really specializes in. So Tara, why do you think it's so important for skin wellness practitioners and professionals to have this information?
Well, this is an incredibly huge topic. So I think that anybody who's working in the health and wellness field or doing any work holistically or holistic skincare, even if you're not doing holistic skincare, your clients are coming in contact with an onslaught of environmental toxins every single day. And these things are, this toxicity is affecting their health at a very deep cellular layer. And I think that we spend a lot of time, if you're in skin, you're spending a lot of time trying to find all of these ways to topically treat your client with products, skincare. If you're creating your own skincare with the Create Your Own Skincare program, and you're doing that on your own too, you're utilizing really good ingredients, but your clients might still be struggling. And to be truthful, even if they're not struggling with a skin rash or a skin issue, their health is probably having some issues as well, right? So, your clients come in, you do the intake, and they've got a list of things that are affecting their health negatively. And they're not necessarily seeing it on their skin. Maybe they're just there because they want to relax, or they want some advice, or they want to anti-age, with their skin, but they're not directly having this issue with their skin rashing. But they're going to list a few other things on that intake that are going to indicate to you that they're struggling in the world with other issues, whether it's autoimmune, whether it's headaches, whether it's histamine issues, whether it's maybe it's just brain fog, maybe they're dealing with, or maybe they're dealing with some anxiety and depression. And all of these things have are being affected by your environment, right? And so, and that list is long, right? We can talk about toxins, we can talk about whether you're lacking sunlight and whether you're not getting enough exercise. And all of these things are players in the game. They're all players, which is why we have this podcast, because we want to talk about this constantly as an organic discussion, because people are dealing with stuff. And so this particular class, what we really want to do is dive deep into how to tease some of this out for your client. Rachel, you mentioned right before we got on, very specifically, like, you might have clients that are coming in and they're still struggling with something. Maybe those are clients that you have that are eating really clean. They're outside, they're getting exercise, they're doing certain things in their life that would indicate to you that they shouldn't be dealing with either a reoccurring histamine reaction, or these sporadic upsets of psoriasis or eczema, or maybe it's itching eyes, right? Some kind of histamine reaction, which itching eyes is not something you're dealing with, particularly if you're an esthetician. But if you have a client that comes into your treatment room and lays down and is asking for help, and you see some concerning things, you want to be able to assist them. And so, our environment is, it's troubling. And I think that as we dig deep, we want to be able to explore what's happening in a client's environment that might be contributing to that. And sometimes they don't even realize that these things are doing that, right? Like, you get a client.
I think that's the biggest issue. Like, this is where I think the frustration comes in with clients who really do feel that they're living a healthy life. They're eating clean, as you said, they're getting outside, they're using good skincare, they're coming maybe monthly for facials, they're meditating, they're sleeping well, they're hydrating, they're doing all the things, but they're either still experiencing some sort of chronic skin issue or some sort of chronic or autoimmune health issue. And it's just not making sense because they feel like they've checked off all the boxes of the things that they're supposed to do. So that's when we have to look deeper, and not just, the person might need to look deeper into their health. They might need to go see a functional provider to get some functional testing done to see what's going on in the gut or what's going on with the hormones or the liver. But aside from that, what practitioners such as estheticians or health coaches or body workers can do is have conversations with them about things in their environment that might be affecting their skin and their health that are very simple to change, maybe even free, that don't require any sort of prescription or anything that could potentially cause harm. And I think that's really the biggest thing we wanted to focus on by doing this masterclass, is educating practitioners on how they can help their clients in a way that is within scope, but also really simple changes that clients can make just once they have that awareness.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about clients that are really conscientious about the type of foods they're eating, they're eating organically, they're choosing foods that aren't packaged and not preserved. So they're eating this clean diet where they're eliminating these chemicals and toxins that most people are pretty aware of that now. Like we have enough, like you see the organic and then you see conventional, and that there's a difference based on whether they're sprayed or not sprayed or whatever. So you get a client that's like, they're eating organic food, they're picking out all these things, but their doctor has now let them know that they're having some thyroid issues, right? Now, here's an example of something you want to learn the depth and breadth of these environmental toxins because you want to be a voice to your client somewhere. So the client that comes in, you happen to notice that she likes perfume, right? So this is one of my ones that I think is such a mind blower because perfume generally is filled with toxic chemicals. Now, when we say toxic chemicals, the biggest disruption is in our endocrine system. And so while this is directly related to the thyroid, right? Where do you spray your perfume? Right here.
Right on your neck. Yep.
Right on your thyroid, right? So, you get a client that you get more education on where to find these environmental toxins, and you see them so clear for yourself enough that when your clients come in, you might be able to say, hey, oh, wow, that's going on. Geez, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with some thyroid issues. I noticed that you like perfume, but did you ever consider about what might be in your perfume? Because when you spray that here, that can affect your thyroid, right? It's pretty unlikely the doctor's having that conversation with her, right?
And that's true. I mean, we are never here to knock doctors or tell people to not go to doctors. We absolutely support people going to the doctor, but many medical doctors just don't have the time to have these conversations. And it's also not just something that they do. It's not necessarily what they were trained on. So it's not that they don't think it's a real thing. It's just not necessarily something that is in their wheelhouse of how they practice. It's not like gold standard of care to ask those type of questions unless it's maybe a naturopathic doctor or a functional doctor who has had training in environmental toxins. And you brought up perfumes. And I think what's really frustrating about perfumes, especially nowadays, because we do have a lot of clean beauty websites that sell perfumes, whenever you see the word parfum, Parfum, or fragrance on a label, that is a blend of potentially up to 1,000 different individual chemicals. And that's not something that you're going to know what's on that list because trade secret law here in the United States currently protects that. Perfume manufacturers do not have to disclose what is in their blends because of that. And even if the word natural appears in there, natural fragrance, for example, or it could be a plant like lavender fragrance or something like that, there's a really high probability that there's still synthetic counterparts within that natural blend. So a natural fragrance or a fragrance oil is still going to have synthetic fragrance ingredients. And what a lot of people don't know is that those fragrance ingredients, they are volatile compounds that they are found in plants, but they're not really used from plants in the mass marketed industry. They're actually chemically made, and that started around the time of the Industrial Revolution when mass production began, because it's really expensive to get volatile compounds out of plants. So unfortunately, those chemical counterparts are really, they're allergenic, and they're also known irritants to the skin, to the eyes, and to the respiratory system, in addition to being endocrine disrupting chemicals. So it's not as easy.
So the list is long.
Yeah, the list is
The
long.
list is long.
It's not as easy as saying, oh, look for this ingredient on the label so that you don't buy that perfume. Well, in the next couple of years, the FDA is going to require certain allergens to be listed, but currently that's not the case. So your perfume or your skincare that has fragrance added to it, or your detergent that has fragrance added to it, could have some of those really allergenic and really well-known endocrine disrupting chemicals in it, but you wouldn't know because of those trade secret laws. So, you know, it's interesting with fragrance, because fragrance is something that people take very personally, because oftentimes it's associated with memories, right? So it can be a hard habit to break, but when you provide them with that information, and not in a fear-mongering way, and then provide alternatives, whether it is a truly natural plant or alternative or a fragrance-free alternative, those are shifts in buying power that can make a big difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, that's the thing. Like, when a client is wearing perfume and then they tell you they're having some thyroid issues, you want to be able to share with them how important it is for them to take a look at what they're spraying on their body, and why that's, can be affecting them negatively. And like you said about doctors, like, the doctor's there to treat you for the issue, and they're not like assisting with your lifestyle, right? And so, as a nutritional aesthetics practitioner, it is my job to assist you with a lifestyle that supports healthy skin, and also your wellness. And so, depending on what your practice is, I also do, I'm also doing coaching. So my clients are appreciative when you can share the information. And maybe you're not doing nutritional aesthetics, and that's fine too, but maybe you understand deeply that these things are causing issues, and the environmental toxins are everywhere. I mean, you outlined the fragrance issue, right? With perfume, but even touching upon your detergent is, I mean, the list goes on and on. So when we do the class, I mean, we really dive into where to look for clients. But I think the thing is, it's a lot of information. So, learning it on a deeper level really can help provide a better practice for you to find solutions for your clients. So while if she stops her perfume wearing, that isn't going to necessarily change her thyroid issue. But certainly if you're not well and you're struggling with an autoimmune issue, people want to do the best that they can to support their health through those things. And this is where we come in, right? This is where we can assist them by getting that deeper knowledge. And so that we can help them tease out what might be in their environment. And part of it's about like listening, but part of it's just knowing it enough for yourself that you recognize when someone else is has something that you think that they would, benefit from knowing. And that's your clients,
Yeah. And there are a lot of questions that you can ask that can help spark awareness within your client, because if you were to have a question on your intake that was like, what environmental toxins do you have in your house? Most people are going to be like, I don't
None.
know. I don't, none. But
Right.
so in the class, we're going to go over really specific questions that you can ask and areas of one's environment, whether it's the home environment or even the work environment, that toxicants do exist. And while it's not possible to eliminate exposure to every toxicant in any environment, we just live in a very toxic world, unfortunately. There are shifts that can be made that are inexpensive. It's just a matter of buying this instead of this. And that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on teaching our practitioners, our audience, how they can help their clients actually make changes that will make an impact, but won't like overthrow their lives.
Right. Well, it's, I know with my clients, and as I teach this class, I've taught versions of this class previously. Most people are unaware, right? And so what it provides is an ability to now be more aware. And if you're in a practice where you're working holistically, then you might already be aware of a lot of what is pretty prevalent in your environment, but it just keeps going on and on. And so while not meant to be overwhelming, the more you know, the more you can make choices that will affect you in a better way. And so it's empowering, I think, to have more information. And I think it's empowering as a practitioner when I start to work with a client. Sometimes maybe, so let's just say they're new, and sometimes they've been around for a long time, and we finally dig out what it is. And I'm like, you didn't tell me that you do X, Y, and Z. And then they are able to make a shift, and they're like, oh my God, that made such a difference. This is important. It's important that we equip ourselves as practitioners with as much knowledge as possible. And I've worked on this class, for a few years, and it's been added to, as things become more, the knowledge becomes more available, and we can keep putting it into the schoolwork, the curriculum. It's ever evolving, but we want to know, right? We want to have the knowledge so we can make better decisions.
And that's, I think, really the most important thing, is that the role of a skin wellness pro, and again, that is whether you are more on the skin aesthetics side or more on the wellness nutrition coaching side, your job is to help your clients prioritize what is going to make the most impactful change by making a change now. And then maybe what can wait, like what do you try first? Because when a new client comes to you and you're doing that intake, you're doing that first session, the wheels are turning in your head, right? You're like, oh my God, we can fix this, we can change this, they got to get rid of this, they got to replace this. And you're not going to just tell that to the client, like, okay, so this is what you're going to do between now and when we see each other next. You're going to, they're going to be like, okay. And it's like, whew, right over the head. And then they're going to walk out of there completely overwhelmed and confused. And that's not going to really inspire them to take action. And it might actually make them think, I can't do this. This is too hard.
Well, one of the things that I'm a really big proponent of is that as a practitioner, you take in this information, and it's not about whether you're spewing it all out to your client, right? It's about whether you're utilizing it yourself, because it's the self-utilization of this information that creates the impact back to your client, right? So when, you look around your own home and you're like, geez, man, my husband sprays Febreze like it's his full-time job, and that's endocrine disrupting. And that is bad for all of our skin. It's bad for our lungs. It's going to cause estrogen issues in my body. I need to get rid of that. So your journey as the practitioner is like, you're getting rid of your husband's Febreze. I'm saying that because that's an example in my home. Years ago, when I was having histamine reactions, and my husband, I'm like, he's over there spraying Febreze like it's full and I'm realizing that he's poisoning me.
Oh no.
And so I had to like dig through this information, but like start to replace that. Okay. So we got rid of that. What else can I have? He likes to spray. He loves scent. Right. So how do I replace that? And I learned it myself. And then you start to see the next thing that's in your home. You're like, geez, I think that this is probably causing some toxicity in my environment. So you change that for yourself. But really, the masterclass is great because you're going to learn a lot of what you can share with your client, but really what can you do for yourself? Because when you implement the practice, when it becomes something important to you because you understand the biological impact that these toxins are making in your environment, and you start to shift them out of yours, then it's even more impactful when you see a client, and you'll notice it differently.
It's true.
You'll know what the indicators are that maybe your client's being exposed to something that's causing them issue.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point because it's always easier to educate about something that you do have personal experience with, and that you can not only give the facts about, this is the thing and this is why it's bad and this is what you can do, but if you can share, this was affecting my household as well. And it was a little bit challenging to find an alternative at first. And I didn't really know if it would make that much of a difference. But once I did find the replacement, we swapped it out and we saw that it really wasn't that big of a deal to make that change. And over time, I noticed that I am less brain foggy in my house. I have less issues with mood swings or fatigue, or my skin is not as itchy or red. There are a lot of things. It's not just, swapping out one detergent for another. There's multiple things in the environment that can be kind of upgraded for a healthier option.
Right.
And these little changes build up over time.
And Rachel, I mean, this too, like, there's always this idea that a lot of these chemicals are safe in the amounts that they're being delivered, right? Like, yes. That's a thing. So this is an argument I've gotten a lot from people contesting information through social media. Oh, that's not a problem. That's listed safe, or this is safe. And so the piece that I think that's generally missing for most people is that the exposure is maybe a little bit, but at 100 times, right?
Yeah, and it's cumulative. Pieces. We're at the point now where our bodies are constantly barraged by these endocrine disrupting chemicals and otherwise irritant or allergenic or otherwise problematic chemicals, and our bodies are not able to detoxify them faster than new ones come in. We did a webinar a few years back with our advisory board member, Dr. Trevor Cates, and she was talking specifically about parabens, but also about some other chemicals. And she was saying how she did an informal study in her medical practice at the time, where she tested the urine of her patients. And I forget what exact percentage it was, but almost every single patient, even though they use paraben-free products, just from exposure to parabens in other things besides what they put directly on their body, they all had it in their systems.
Yeah, they even test
because of that cumulative buildup, that toxic.
Well, they even test the cord blood of newborn babies, and what they're finding is thousands of different chemicals and pesticides in the cord blood of your infant that's in your body. And so it's so mind-blowing to think that it's so ubiquitous, but it really is. Yeah. And I think that, back to what you said, like, you don't want to fearmonger or create this feeling like everyone's got it. But what you want to do is just continue to stay educated so that you can reduce your exposure. And reducing your exposure will have a long-term effect on your health, because think about it. 100,000 chemicals or 50,000 chemicals, right? Like, you have to look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to pick the 50,000 chemicals.
And that's exactly right. It's just these little changes that you make that add up over time, because positive change is cumulative too.
Yes.
Just like, toxic stuff builds up in the body, but positive change also builds up in the body and in the lifestyle. So if you're going to choose one or the other, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on healthier choices. And we can make more healthy choices when we know what the options are. And then we're able to take action on that.
Well, I think too, after the last few years where, people have really been dealing with, the COVID and being sick, having a strong immune system is very, very important, and if your onslaught of these toxins, environmental toxins, is constantly high, then you have to remind yourself that your body's constantly working to keep yourself clean and to fight them out of the body. So, that is going to affect your ability to have a strong immune system. So I think
if your body is constantly on overdrive and then a real pathogen does, attack, if you will,
everybody's been working too hard already.
Exhausted. Yeah. Your body needs that ability to be ready and to protect you.
Yeah. And so I think anybody can take this masterclass, because I think that it's just really going to be beneficial to hear all of the things, and it gives people sort of a base note of like what to look out for, and then start to make changes. I mean, we're talking about, this type of thing is more about eliminating the things in your environment. So, that, in my opinion, generally is the easiest thing people can do, as opposed to adding things, right? So you get clients that are coming in, they're having skin issues, or maybe they're talking about their other health issues. And you're not saying, here, take more supplements, or here, take more of this skin cream. Like, you're saying, no, how about we talk about the things that are going on in your environment that maybe you can reduce, so that some of this starts to shift away on its own.
Right.
I work with clients all the time, and I'm always like, it's the big guns first. We're going to hit the things that seem to probably have the most impact first, one thing at a time. Once that's out of the way, you might not need all that skin stuff. You might not need that supplement. You might not need, to change X, Y, and Z, but we want to get this big piece out of the environment first. And so, these little things and understanding where they are is going to give you the strength and the knowledge to make shifts and changes that can just be amazingly beneficial to your health.
Yeah. I'm really excited to co-present this masterclass with you. So for everyone who's listening or watching, the information for the masterclass will be on our website at skinwellnesspro.com. The class is scheduled for March 7th, 2023 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you happen to be listening or watching this after that class has happened, we do have plans to do it more than once. So there will be a wait list available for you to sign up for, so that you can get notified when registration will be open for a future viewing of this class. So I think that's it for today, Tara, but I'm really excited.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's going to be a really great way for people to get some serious information on how to tackle this topic.
Fantastic. Well, that is our episode for today. So I wanted to invite everyone, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll get notified every time we drop a new episode. And for more information, always visit our website at skinwellnesspro.com. And we will be back soon with another episode. Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.